Welcome! I'm Corey Kell, creator of FlatEarthIntel.com, and today's presentation is a preview of the website FlatEarthIntel.com. And we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about what is on the website, what you can find. And with that, let's begin. The homepage, you'll see when you pull it up, this is the homepage information. There are two major pages of information, the homepage information and the information page. Has a lot of information. In Flat Earth Intel, this is an educational information site on learning how to determine Earth's true surface shape using the sun. You'll find some other information on here as well, but that's the main focus for this website. In the beginning, there's a little preview of it. What I get into is how I developed this process. It's a layered process and applications from solid foundation and fundamentals of military science, what I've done in the military, along with the geometry and using the sun. And why really, when I developed this 9-step process and why it's the big deal, determining whether or not we're a cosmic accident or created by a creator of higher intelligence. The higher knowledge not taught in traditional education. Again, it's not taught. You have to kind of piece it together, so there's not a direct linear line to how to do these steps, and that's what I've created in this whole process. And it is a higher knowledge. Creates accountability within the entire process. I talk about that. Through the use of military science, the modern day heavyweight, which it is, it's vastly outpaced heliocentric sciences because of technology that has been developed and equipment that has been developed with higher tech. So it's exposed the globe model as basically an ancient relic. The latest new videos and information and updates, you'll also find that right there. All the newer videos that are on and some of the videos that are on the website. I'll list some of that and the information. And it goes directly into the main video section. There are other video sections on it, but this is the main one. And this will go through each of those videos. They're roughly about, most of them right around 10 minutes long. There's one that probably goes about 20, a little bit longer, but I've tried to keep them short, but yet have enough information and content to give you a very, very good idea. And you'll find throughout this website there are a lot of diagrams, photos, which I use, which is what I've used when I've taught and trained military forces around the world, as well as our own forces in the United States. Pictures and diagrams just work a whole lot better. I've had to treat, when I was in Afghanistan, I've had to train soldiers that couldn't read or write. So one of the big things they would tell me is if you show us a lot of pictures and diagrams, we'll get a much better idea. So I've done that throughout my whole career in the military and defense contracting. The 45-degree sector test goes in that. There's a video that lays that out. And that's really kind of the definitive test using the sun, how to determine Earth's true surface shape. It's very, very kind of in-depth, but very simple process, really. Observer angle, which a lot of globalists don't like to account for the surface angle of the globe. They want to tell you live on a sphere, but they don't want to account for it. Goes through and shows you how to work that out and work through that process. Sun path, I'll talk a little bit about Antarctica, and the sun path kind of exposes that as determining it as viewing the sun as from a flat surface down in Antarctica, and how the lay of the land is. Sun plot, how to do sun plots. And I intentionally left out the sun plot when I initially came on the radar using this process, because I wanted to excuse me. I wanted to kind of leave that out as kind of a trap for science, because I needed to find out what science didn't know about the whole process. So I left out the sun plot, but then eventually I built this sun plot back in, closed that gate, and show you how to do actual sun plot on a whiteboard and on a digital using Google Earth Pro. And again, it's part of the accountability within the system. I go over timing. what timing actually means while you're doing testing for the globe model and the flat Earth model. Some of the big 10 questions. There's 2 parts to this. Again, some questions that you may have. Some of the things that I looked into and I had questions about. I go through some of the big 10 questions that I had initially when I looked into this subject. Antarctica, the lay of the land, and really what they found out in 1947 when Byrd went down to do his expedition in Antarctica. I go through and talk about that. Then it gets into homepage testing, and I talk about the testing requirements using the sun. That's that's really what it starts out. So when you look at using the sun, I go through and there's requirements that you need to look at and understand. And again, it's laid out. It's laid out in a certain process. And again, these are developed through applications from the field of military science, mainly. Again, very effective, very efficient methodology. I talk a little bit more about why we shouldn't use sticks and shadows. And then again, it gets into testing on both sides of the terrestrial Earth. I did Operation Resolute Time in Afghanistan, and then Operation North American Sun here in the United States in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Both testing from both sides of the terrestrial Earth showed the Earth to be a flat surface shape. Globe model failure rate was 58% in Afghanistan and 53% here in the North American continent. So major failures. Flat Earth passing all testing 100%. So again, your model, once you test it, it has to pass by 100%. So the globe model isn't even close. Basic understanding of geometric forms and vertical angle. Again, vertical angle they don't teach you in mainstream science really. They kind of deflect or shy away from it, again, because it exposes a weakness within the heliocentric model. And again, that's a big problem, accountability. And the 2 sciences that use it, of course, in civil engineering and military science that use it with great accountability and great effect. And then some of the simple math within the whole process. And really, it's just about addition. It's nothing difficult. Again, geometric forms breaking down the 45-degree sectors. And for both the flat Earth model and the globe model, then we can actually test it. Once we set that geometric edge, then it's game time. It's game on. Let's see what the Earth shape really is. The 3D test version of the 45-degree sector test, and this is really where I developed it from live fire safety boxes and kill boxes within the field of military science. I go through and talk about that, and again, it's a very exact science and a very effective way to test the Earth shape. Towards the bottom of the information page, there's 2 subject areas which really drew me into flat Earth. One was giants. When I researched giants, I had some exposure when I was in Afghanistan, and there are giants of Afghanistan. There's a small section at the very bottom of the page. Some photographs that I had received while I was in Afghanistan from a burial site of a giant. Mir Saeed Ali Aga is actually the giant's name, and then his spouse is said to be buried next to him. And it's really, you learn some unique things visiting countries. You find out information you wouldn't find. And here, what I was told by my interpreters was that many of the local residents, they will rub the soil. If they have an ailment, they will rub that soil on. They believe it has healing powers. So really interesting subject. And then I get into and talk about simulation, kind of putting it all together. If you're a creator, the best way I can teach you and train you to go through a life process and develop you is putting you through a simulation. And I call this the sandbox Earth, and where I expose you to all kinds of cosmologies, religion, love, war, peace, all those things that we have to go through when we're human, when our soul is paired up to our human body and we come into this life. Really the most effective way. And military science uses it with great effect. The next page is the information page on the website, and what you'll find The first area is keeping it simple, and really that's really what I've done for the whole process. Now, some people may look at that and goes, "You're anything but simple," but it really is when you take a look at it and then you start reading through it and understanding it about sun position and also some common word associations. I think that kind of give you a hint what model you're talking about. And again, sometimes you have to kind of step back and look at the bigger picture. And a lot of people tend to get lost. Kind of, there's so much information out there, but I kind of keep it mainline, streamlined through the whole entire process in a step-by-step methodology. And again, there's a 9-step geometric validation process and setup for testing. I go through each step and why it's important, and it explains a little bit about each step. Then it goes into orienting station, or OS, setup. And again, step-by-step process. Take you through and show you what you actually do, how to set up an orienting station, get ready to test the Earth shape using the sun. Understanding the use of the sun and why it matters, the big picture. Again, cosmology, there are two main cosmologies. You know, why it's important, why we understand that. And again, what mainstream science is and what the creation model is, and they don't mix. A lot of people have tried to put the globe in with the creation model, and it just doesn't mix. The sun is out of position for the globe model. So again, the globe model being tied to the heliocentrism tied to the theory of evolution and the Big Bang theory. So there's one area on there. It's called Understanding the Solar Declination Angle, or the SDA, and the low sky. Having a low sky really gives an interesting effect of great distance if you have a low sky. And really, once we understand that, you get those effects of when we look up at the night sky and how we get those effects from not only daytime in the sun, but from the nighttime in the stars. And I talk a little bit about that. And I actually did an experiment showing you what the SDA and how it would work on the flat Earth model. A little bit more on the 45-degree sector test, just some early stuff that I laid out in a very little bit more complex process, but showing you some of the information. The test box set parameter scale is interesting. I had an interview with Jaron on Jaronism. And I went through and he had a gentleman on there that kind of like an AutoCAD system. And this is where I really explained where you get separation. And we were talking about the 45-degree sector test, and if you were testing from the globe, where the separation point would be. And I asked him, when I laid it out, when you're measuring across a sector, what's the separation point? He was a very smart guy. He said, well, it's about 90.3 to 90.4. And I said, that's exactly correct. There's a slide on my website, which is right here, which explains how to do that without using that AutoCAD system, because it's based on the heliocentric model sun size at distance. So when you're doing the 45-degree sector test, if you're 45 degrees, then that separation, you're 45 degrees, and at 45.3 to 45.4, you get separation. Add those two numbers together, and what do you get? 90.3, 90.4. He was like, yeah, that's exactly it. So I said, yeah, it's exactly it. It's separation. Talk about understanding sun clock time, understanding 45-degree sectors and sun position, and then the two greatest factors in testing, which is measuring knowing what elevation you're at, and then how close you are to that object. Those are the two greatest factors. Sun survey point, test zones, and balance. I talk a little bit about that, and the Marks device, the creation of the Marks device. The very early on, the very tripod method I had for getting center line, and I knew there was a better way to do that. And then a Latvian Special Forces First Sergeant helped me build the first ever device, the Marks device, which this was in Afghanistan. Really helped get down to the exact what I needed for positioning. And again, very simple to do, very easy, and nothing very difficult, very inexpensive. The whole process is really very inexpensive. And that was in the developmental stage. I wanted to make something that was very inexpensive. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars to test the Earth shape. You really don't. Just use the sun, and it's a very simple process. And again, some of the experiments while I was conducting STO, which is solo timed observation in Afghanistan, and some of those effects. And I get into a little bit more about the history of flat Earth, talking about understanding Antarctica, the lay of the land, also the Bedford level and Michelson-Morley, and then the French scientist George Sagnac proving that the ether really did exist. Again, shooting down Einstein's theory of relativity. I talk a little bit more, then transfer into military science, which was really my background in artillery. Some of the uses in the field of military science: very exact science and very precise. It has to be very precise and very accurate. Why? Because lives depend on it. So again, you can't fudge numbers in military science, because then you're talking about people's lives. There's some test data and operation resolute time in North American Sun. You'll find some test tables on that. And then finally, you get into some contact information. You can email me on the website. And then the last portion is a little bit about myself. And that's basically what you'll find on the website. There's also a book I put out in October 2023, called The Sun and Earth Modern User Reference Guide. Again, this is available on Amazon Books and by Zilbrist.com. Again, lays out how to test the Earth's true surface shape using the sun. Military science and geometry, a very exact science. Again, this has been the Flat Earth Intel site preview. I'm Corey Kill, creator of FlatEarthIntel.com. Thanks for watching.